Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29, back for another DC comic review, and this time I will be reviewing Batman issue 109, and as you can see there, I've also got the Pride variant cover. And moving on to the next one, which is Detective Comics Batman issue 1037 and its cover. So moving straight away into the review of the first one, being Detective Comics, or being Batman issue 109. Now, looking at the cover, does this cover in any way, now that's the cover to the left-hand side, not the right-hand side, not the Pride variant. Does this cover in any way, shape or form show something that happens within the story? Surprisingly, it does. To which I gave this cover a 9 out of 10. Now, this is probably, I think, the highest ratings I've given for a Tinian. I could be incorrect on that. So it's time to move into the internal art. Now what I'll do is I'll use the card cover to show some of the internal art for this first story. This is some of the art around the beginning of the story, and as you can see there's Bruce Wayne and also Oracle, Barbara Gordon. Some of the art around the middle of the story. And now go to the end. And this is some of the art around the end of the story. And I must admit, I was really surprised with the art within this story, as it really stood out in certain areas, to which I gave the art rating an 8.5 out of 10. Now to move into the story. Did the story in any way provide any comic references? Well, surprisingly, the editor did, and they said to basically catch up with any current Detective Comics issues, so which would be either the next one that I'll be reviewing, as well as the previous one which was reviewed beforehand. Were there any references of time? No, but it would still help the story. But did it ruin the story? Not completely. What locations did we get to see in this? In it, we got to see Fort Grey. Of course, Saint Industries, having to do with Simon Saint. Moving into the cast of characters, which I think were used quite alright. Of course, we had Batman, who's Bruce Wayne, Oracle, who's Barbara Gordon, we had Harley, we had Ghostmaker, we had the Gardener make an appearance, who's basically a colour-pasted black version of Poison Ivy. We had Simon Saint and also Peacekeeper 1, who you saw as going to kick Batman's ass towards the end there. Did it in any way ruin the story? Not really. To which I gave the story rating an 8 out of 10. As Batman is on the search for Scarecrow and also to find out what's happening with him. Of course, we get a little background happening there in regards to Harley and Ghostmaker, and that's where Gardener makes her appearance within the story, and there's a little bit of a discussion that happens there. And of course, Batman and Oracle, who are trying to follow up as to what is happening or what has happened with And that's why I gave the story 8 out of 10. it's now time to move on to Detective Comics Batman 1037. So, jumping into Batman Detective Comics 1037, or 1037, does this cover in any way, shape or form bring out any detail of what happens within the story? Surprisingly it does, and I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. As I felt that it did capture some of the things that did happen internally with the story, and also some of the people who were encountered in the story. Time to move into the internal art. Now this is some of the art around the beginning of the story. Some of the art around the middle of the story. Aliens, anyone? And last but not least, finally towards the end of the story. I must admit, I really enjoyed the art in this, and it felt quite consistent in a number of areas, to which I gave the art a 7 out of 10. Alright, moving into the actual story itself. Now, if I were to recommend any of these stories, just in regards to the backstory, because I did happen to have a look at them both, I enjoyed the Tamaki one over the Ridley one. I'm just saying, it came off better, it came off cleaner, and I think Tamaki would actually be really good for, say, very, very short anthology stories for DC Comics. Because I think in some cases, she doesn't quite fit the bill for long stories. Some cases, not all stories. So, moving into my story rating, did this story get any comic references? Surprisingly, it did. So, therefore, it does actually go up on the list for points. For that, did we get any time references as to when some of these things were happening throughout the day? No, but it would not hurt the story. In fact, it would help increase the points for the story. Locations, we got Fort Grey. And also in Fort Grey, we got the Fort Grey GCPD, to which we had Bruce Wayne, Batman, being interviewed there, but not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. And we also had the appearance of City Hall, to which we had Nakano present. In the cast, we had Huntress, who made her appearance at the beginning, but she also made a later appearance. Batman pretty much throughout a fair amount of the book. Mayor Nakano towards the end of the book. We also had Mr. Worth, who showed his brute strength and brutality when being utterly pissed off against Bruce Wayne and blaming Bruce Wayne for the death of his daughter, to which he isn't. And of course, we had the appearance of Vile, to which I gave this story rating a 6 out of 10. Well, and until then, please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's keep it colourful. If you've now made it to the end of this video, have yourself an awesome day.